Alright guys, Kremp again today. I hope you're doing well and enjoying your day so far. LA Thieves may have dodged a serious bullet going into the World Championship. One of the big dramas going into Major 4 and certainly following Major 4 has been what version of Black Ops 6 will be played at the big tournament of the season. Thieves, Scrappy, Envoy was certainly keen to have it stay exactly the same as it was when they won the most recent couple of tournaments. FaZe, maybe OpTic, other teams were probably keen to change, as were the CDL, who wanted the latest patch update, but for various reasons, that does now not seem like a possibility. Scrappy may be very happy about this change. Doesn't mean Thieves are going to win the tournament at a canter. Not necessarily. Very much enjoy to your thoughts in the comments. Hit the like button if you enjoy. Subscribe if you're new as always. I would greatly appreciate it. Plenty to get into today. Firstly, wanted to talk a bit about OpTic and their potential going into the World Championship, right? Because they've had a challenging season until pretty much the most recent tournament. They were maybe hoping, although I'm not sure the players necessarily said it, that maybe the new patch update could give an opportunity, because the feeling is that the most recent patch, that is very old now, Season 3 patch, that's been played on for a very long period of time, is, you know, favouring Thieves, or maybe not favouring Thieves. Thieves are just great at the game, but they understand that patch, the way that it plays in very deep detail, and maybe a change there would have given an opportunity for other teams to potentially make that move happen. We know that Attach's retired recently. It was cool to see him hop on the flycast with the boys over the last couple of days. I imagine this is going to be an entertaining one. But there was also this clip going around of Merc. So here he is just playing some ranks, and what I find amazing about when you watch the pros play ranked, I've seen it with JoeDeceives, I mean, I've seen it with every pro player really, but they're not really concentrating. They're looking at the chat, they're like half chilling, and yet they're still hitting shots like this. I mean, the shots here that Merc hits at the end of this map here to win it, pretty ridiculous to be honest. Kills this guy, hits the reload, and then just doesn't miss a bullet on either of these two guys, even just guns the final guy down as well without missing a single shot. So, you know, this is just what it's like. And Merc is a shooter, there's no doubt about it. This guy shoots very straight. He's been very impressive so far for OpTic, and even for Toronto briefly when he was on their team as well. There's still serious questions whether they should have done anything different with their decision making after Major 3. But there is talk, just because this clip's been going around, about the talent that OpTic have and whether, you know, they could be the team to get the job done. I think going through the majority of the season, you look at the rosters, FaZe, super team, effectively. Thieves, super team, no doubt about it. OpTic, of course, were expected to still be very good at this game. They were the reigning world champions. That never happened for various reasons. But of all the other teams, look, Surge have been there. But I feel like for Surge, their opportunity to win, you know, has potentially come and gone, right? Like at that point in the season, best of 7 finals, okay, they got 4-0'd on both occasions by FaZe and Thieves, which is obviously going to be challenging, but they were able to do it in a best of 5, and they were looking great at the time, but, you know, realistically, as the game has gone on, are they going to be capable of taking the challenge to the big teams? You know, maybe they're just going to get talent diffed a little bit over a deep series when it matters. I think the same could still be true for Heretics. I think the same could still be true to some degree for Toronto. But, you know, maybe OpTic have the ability to do it. Like, you look at the other teams, you look at Shotzzy, Dashy, Huke. I mean, like, in terms of pure, like, unadulterated talent, as it were, among all of those teams that I've mentioned, Surge, Toronto, Heretics, like the other potential key contenders of the tournament, OpTic do have the strongest team in just pure skill, and maybe that's what matters in terms of trying to make a deep run, but also what matters is great search and destroy, and that's what Shotzzy made clear the other day as well. But anyway, this is the talking point that people have kind of said, certainly seeing this clip, to say, well, we know how good Shotzzy is, we know how talented Dashy is, we know that Huke is one of these players who's, you know, like unbelievable levels of skill, but decision making and other factors can be a bit of a challenge sometimes. But this season I think has been significantly better for Huke, and, you know, look, last year OpTic would, with the team that they had, out talent, you know, the big boys, and this year maybe they're the only team that really has the capability of doing that. And I think that the reason why this talking point has kind of taken off in the last couple of days is because this clip's got around for Merc that's showing, like, it's not just Shotzzy, Dashy, Huke that have great gunny on this team. So Merc seems like a pretty good find, but intrigued to your thoughts on that in the comment section below. As I say though, the big drama of the day is around the patch that the pros will be playing on. So Envoy made this tweet a couple of days ago and was criticizing the league heavily for not having made a decision on this. 7 days after Major 3, or Major 4 I guess, 3 weeks until the World Championship at the time, CDL accounts are on a very old patch, a 3-month-old patch from Season 3. Retail accounts on Season 4, CDL is insisting we will play on on 3.5 for Champs, but there's no way to currently play on it, all because Codcaster has been broken all season. This is the primary issue. And again, it's frustrating because the league, the players, the fans would love to be in a better position here, but the fundamental problem is that the game is broken and that you can't use the new patch update that they want to use because the Codcaster doesn't work and you wouldn't be able to watch the game. Even the old patch update, the Codcaster doesn't work, right? Like, there's still all sorts of glitches with it. It's so frustrating. I'd almost prefer the old school Black Ops 2 Codcaster where you can't see half the gameplay. At least the numbers on that game worked, and that was 13 years ago. Whereas this game just, has not worked from start to finish, really. It's super frustrating because this is the key limitation. And again, it doesn't seem like that communication there between the developers and the CDL, the players, is anywhere near good enough to actually fix this issue. And the CDL certainly isn't confident enough to say, you know what, let's just use the new patch update, get the practice on it, lads, and we're going to make sure that Codcaster is fixed for Champs. Because, Champs is 3 weeks away. You would think the league could tell the players, yep, guys, just play on the latest patch update. We're going to talk to the devs. They're going to get this issue turned around and it's going to be fine in time for Champs. But they have no confidence, neither do I, that that would actually happen. And neither do any of the community. So, a decision, it seems, has been made. JP went on stream over the last couple of days and talked about the Champs patch and then confirmed as of yesterday, pretty much, that, it was a talking point, I think, over the last couple of days. So JP said Champs on the same patch a couple of days ago, and then JP turned the stream on last night and said that, yeah, Champs patch talk confirmed, and effectively what has been confirmed, as far as I understand, is that it will be played on the Major 4 patch. So the patch that they used the most recent tournament with the old control spawns, with the old Jackal, right, effectively, without the need. Yeah, Jackal got nerfed ages ago now, but we're still playing on the version even before that. That got nerfed. The challenger players decided to get rid of one of the attachments or bring an attachment back, the long barrel or whatever, so it would be a bit more balanced. But that's not going to be relevant for the pros. It does make it difficult, I will say, for the pros because, I imagine that challengers Challengers still playing on the newer version, are they not? So, I don't know. It's interesting, right? Because going into Champs, sometimes you want to get some scrims against those teams, but it may not be plausible to do so. Now, as you guys can tell from this Reddit post here, let's go. Control spawns changes right before Champs would have been terrible from No Muffin 8941 LA Thieves Flare. So, this is the general feeling right now, understandably, of the LA Thieves fans to say, let's go, right? The patch has stayed the same because that's really what the reigning champions would want. Scrappy made it pretty clear over the last few days as well. There was this clip where there was a glitch and like a serious bug in the game here we saw in Search and Destroy where the whole team was dead, but the round wasn't ending, and Scrap was making the point to say, look, please, let's just go back to the old patch where these issues don't exist. Now, even let's just not consider the bias. Does it make sense to change the patch just for one tournament going into Champs? There is a debate on that. The new control spawns are arguably not as good as they previously were. It's a pretty substantial change anyway to that game mode. And therefore, there's lots of fans and players that might say, well, do we really want to change it anyway? But the league, it seems, kind of did. Like the retail accounts were on the new version. If the Codcaster wasn't an issue, they probably would have done. They wanted to play on some kind of intermediary, but it simply isn't possible to happen. So the league, it seems, have taken a few days to decide whether they've actually talked with the pros or the teams or whatever, who knows. But they've come to a decision, and that decision is that the patch update from the previous majors will stay. Now, this is a pretty big deal for the teams that just won, because we've talked about it in the past. That's generally speaking. This, of course, clearly isn't always the case because OpTic Texas last year were top 12 at Major 4 and then won the big one. But usually, the team that wins Champs has done very well the prior tournament. Now, that's usually because the game is basically the same going into Champs as the prior tournament and the teams have basically mastered it. Whereas on a new patch update, that could potentially have opened the door to somebody else really making a run. Not to say that it can't happen anyway, but the chances now definitely are somewhat reduced, I would say. If there was a brand new patch, brand new control spawns, it would give more opportunity to maybe, an underdog team, let's say even a Heretics maybe, or an OpTic, or, we've talked about Toronto Surge being the other candidate in addition to the two big teams. Realistically, Boston and Ravens are probably not going to pose too much threat this tournament to the World Championship, and everybody else isn't even there, unfortunately. But it does reduce the chances, I would say, of that happening, like an upset victory happening. And Thieves, I think, understandably, will be rather happy about this. How will FaZe feel? I guess that's the question, because the most two recent tournaments, they've lost and Thieves have won on pretty much this patch update. At the start of the year, things were a little bit different, but, you know, fundamentally, things haven't changed that much. This was potentially one of the bigger changes going into the biggest tournament of the year. So, you know, I think that maybe OpTic would have been hoping that there would be a change that might give them an opportunity, but no, they're just going to have to work with what they currently have and keep improving. But as Shotzzy has said, really, it's going to be about the search and destroy. I also think the way that the new control spawn worked on the new patch update was kind of more punishing a lot of the time for the defensive teams. Like on Vault, for example, the you know, you would, if the guys were capturing the final point over towards B, you would spawn so far away there was no hope. So maybe it would only have made Thieves even better on the new patch, but they will certainly be happy about the fact that it's staying around. Speaking of champs, actually, the perfect bracket prediction is back. If you get it right, did the prize for this used to be 100k, or am I tripping, or was it always 10k? Anyway, if you predict the entire bracket, then you win 10k. Now that is a perfect bracket, right? So that is the entire tournament bracket, and we can click on it and see what it looks like here. But so if you get the best bracket in terms of points scored, then you win $2,500. If you get everything perfect, and that's not just wins, that is map count as well, right? So, you know, the chances, I don't think that that's ever happened to anyone over the last, I think you could give away like $1 billion for that, and still it's never going to happen. Like, think about the amount of complexity. Like, not only have you got to predict every single series right, but every single map count correct, including even the finals. I'm pretty sure that's what the perfect bracket is anyway. So it's just never going to happen. Like, they could juice it up more than this, in my opinion. At least I think that's how it's done. I think that's how it used to be, that perfect bracket was perfect maps as well. But maybe, I don't know, maybe it's not. Maybe you just have to predict the winners and you're going to win the 10k. But enjoy your thoughts and all that in the comments below. Just some final things. We got some legendary lineman cards to look through as well. This is the JCap Black Ops 2 card, of course. Didn't win the tournament in the end, came second on Envy at the time. But yeah, back then, JCap was an absolute beast. I mean, of course, in BO1, he was probably considered to be the best version of himself and the best player in the game. But even this tournament, right? I mean, look at that, 1.55 in Surge, 1.91 in Capture the Flag. What a game mode, right? We also had, you know, this card from Karma back then, of course. So this is the, Black Ops 2 World Championship that they won. Back when Karma could have chosen an alternative crew as a model. But Hardpoint, S&D, CTF, legendary game modes for sure. Of course, on Freako Impact that won the World Championship that year. And then we've got a formal card as well. This is from COD XP 2016. Of course, that was the World Championship that was like where it was held. 2016 for Black Ops 3. OpTic had great tournaments, great season, but of course, in the end, didn't win that World Championship, as frustrating as that was for the Green Wall after what happened the year before as well. But very much enjoyed your thoughts on all of this stuff in the comments below. Hit the like button if you enjoyed, subscribe if you're new, take care, and I'll see you next time.
Would you rather hang out with somebody that cheats video games or somebody that tried to put their meat in their mouth when they were 14 years old on a hot summer day while watching Naruto shipping all night?
Hostile UAV in the area.
Tough one.
What the fuck? Well, you can't drop a bomb on me like that. Do you want to know what I was talking about before you came in? I can't say it in front of Gracie. Even though she won't know what I'm saying, I can't say it in front of Gracie. It's bad. It pertains to like what I would do when I was 14 years old in the middle of summer in my room all by myself. Why are you laughing? You haven't heard this story. All right. I got my own thing in my own thing. You didn't need to hear that? I was like 14. You don't even think about it. I tried it once.